5 a.m. Irish time in Tokyo Stadium. Australia against Wales, and a big occasion needs a big performance from a referee, and they've got the best in for this one. Romain Poit. Listen, hopefully he won't be terrible. Anyway, the Poit is the referee for this one, and this game for me, even when I was predicting the tournament, the outcome of this game coloured a lot of my thinking.
It does still. That's what's interesting about this game. As much as it's a huge game for both Australia and Wales and their perspectives,
feels like a big game for the likes of England.
Yeah,
and you know what is that? If we're assuming that England get through their pool and France are in behind them, obviously after that win against Argentina, you know, whether it's England against Australia, England don't love that, but England against Wales is brutally physical for both sides. And then France-Australia would give you like a very colourful game that could go either way with a lot of World Cup history, but chances are Australia be feeling decent about that. And I think both Wales and Australia would want to avoid England.
Yeah.
Because first of all, neither of them would be favourites going into that game.
Sure.
And second of all, even if they do get through that game, it presents a much greater physical challenge, test, but also just it's going to wear on them much more than a victory over France would.
Probably true. Yeah, definitely true.
And I think it's gonna colour a lot of how this tournament goes, seeing how this game goes and where those two teams align.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's impactful. It was something we mentioned in our preview. A lot bigger deal. This is one of those pivot games that like the whole tournament kind of spins on its head once this is decided. Then
we get a much clearer picture.
Things start to come into focus in terms because we'll have two games played, and then suddenly the potential quarterfinals already start to kind of form in your mind.
Yes.
So this is huge. It has huge permutations with that in mind. But then to just go in focus on the game, on the level of the game itself, it's a very interesting contest. You have Six Nations champions Wales and a team that are like, we're riding a bit of momentum that kind of got derailed in those warm-up games, but you don't need to place that much stock in it. They hit the ground running, put Georgia to bed in a very impressive clinical fashion, and then you have Australia, who have had a bit of a rough year, but they've actually kind of found something. They won that Bledisloe 1 test, found that centre partnership that was eluding them for quite a while.
And James
Beale at fullback is a bit of a revelation now, and they look. And you keep harping on in their front row. They found an excellent scrummager in Scott Seo, so they're locking in that set piece.
It's a very, very curious picture. There are matchups everywhere, and rather than being, I suspect anyway, rather than being the result of some tactical masterclass on either side, save for the odd, both sides do like their set piece strike plays, and there might be a touch of that. But I think a lot of this game is going to depend on just how these matchups go. I mean, Australia are gonna fancy attacking the Welsh scrum, but the Welsh are gonna fancy attacking the Australian lineout.
True.
Both sides on the defensive and offensive breakdown are fiends. I mean, you've got Pocock and Hooper on the Australian side, then you've got Tipperick and Alan Wynne-Jones and Ken Owens on the Welsh side.
All dogs in the breakdown.
Absolute dogs in the breakdown. Who's going to come the better of that one? I actually think on both sides of the ball, the dynamic between the two 13s is going to be really interesting.
O'Connor and Davis.
Who's going to get the better of whom? And I think it could be one of those where the guy who gets on top on offense starts getting on top on defense. Like either of those could get in each other's heads.
Yeah.
I definitely think, and there is a bit of avenue there on both sides for some profit to be had.
Yeah.
So I just think all over the pitch they're the most interesting matchups, and the winners of them in the big moments are probably going to decide the game.
Yeah.
It's a mouth-watering one, really.
It really is. One thing I would say, and just on broad point, that's similar to that 13 channel that you were highlighting, is that unlike in the Six Nations, when Wales's defence, was looking so sharp and was being touted as the best defence in the world, they weren't. It has to be caveated by saying like no one was testing them out wide. England and Ireland were just running into them in the tight, and
France did get some profit.
France got their tries off by going wide and attacking that 13 channel, which we kind of know outside of Davies there is space there, and like Georgia weren't going to be the ones to present that picture, but Australia might. You know, Australia like attacking that area.
They definitely will.
They have Corvetti on the wing, who's just that's fire. He's a pure finisher
in space. Try.
Yeah, that's it.
That's Corvetti.
Exactly. So they'll be wanting to play him into that game. So that'll be an interesting test for the Welsh defence to try and adapt to. They'll like, obviously that tight game is not something I expect the Aussies to try and take them on in. I expect them to kind of move the pill about a bit and try and manipulate that Welsh defence before putting one-on-one matchups and backing their heads up footy in the multi-phase to try and see it through. Like they have a good eye for where a try is as a broad thing. Actually, both of these sides do. But I expect after 6 or 7 phases, if you have players of the calibre of Beale and O'Connor on the pitch, there can be calls going in. They'll recognise where the space is and they'll try and pass or kick it into it.
For sure. I'm curious to see how the Welsh attack. Are they going to try and get it in Jonathan Davis's hands? Do they like that matchup? I don't know if I love Hadley Parks running into Karevi as a matchup.
Not particularly.
Or do they keep it tight? I mean, we've touted this Welsh side as the most versatile side in world rugby. They can go many different ways. One of the areas that I think
Liam Williams
they have
Beale.
the damage, well, more importantly than Liam Williams, I think the matchup of Dan Biggar against Lea Lafano is one clear strength and advantage for Wales. I mean, Dan Biggar, certainly on his pomp, is a much better footballer, much more elite 10, who can kick his goals effectively, who can claim high balls, who can put up accurate bombs. They're going to look to him, I think, as a difference maker, and they're going to look to him to direct them around the right areas of the field. Probably with bombs, as you say, putting Beale under pressure. We have seen some vulnerability.
Well, we saw that in Bledisloe too, albeit in the rain in Bledisloe too, and it was not just the high ball that was malfunctioning. I think Beale's game just escaped him for that whole game. He wasn't alone. The Aussies were kind of at sea.
Even Caleb Petty at his best is great under the ball, and I think it will be Caleb Petty. I think Reece Hodge is going to be banned.
Probably.
So I think even Caleb Petty on his worser days does get put under a bit of pressure and can lose the high ball on occasion.
Well, compared to the likes of Liam Williams, who no one in that Aussie backline, well, obviously since Folau is gone, is as imperious as Liam Williams under that high ball. And Biggar's no slouch either. He'll chip and chase his own kicks under that high ball too.
100%.
So there's threats. Those are genuine threats. Josh Adams as well, we know, can claim a high ball. Judging by the Six Nations, and their wingers aren't vertically challenged. They're quite tall and quite big. That'll be an avenue that I expect Wales to try and target. One of, like, talking about the out half advantage that maybe that Wales possess, I think in Genia,
who we think will
Wales,
play
who I think will play
after
Wales.
a quite horror show followed by a Genia masterclass being the narrative of that Fiji game.
Pretty much, Genia is the superior scrum half of this whole of both sides. That being said, Gareth Davis had a wonderful performance himself, but I think he's a bit looser and a bit more chaotic at times than Genia, who's a bit more assured, who still has that speed when it's needed, but is also capable of slowing the game down when it's needed.
That exit kick was one of the best exits of the whole Blue tournament against Fiji. Midway through the second half, he just had a phenomenal box kick deep into the Fijian half, and I'd be looking to bring some of that, especially against those flat Welsh wingers. Who
do tend to drift up for sure.
But from Lea Lafano, you're not going to get that accurate a kicking game. Whether Lea Lafano plays or not is even a question mark, given the fact that he was
the Aussie commentators were loving what they were seeing from Tamua off the bench.
I wasn't particularly.
I know you're not a Tamua fan.
I haven't.
No.
I would go for Foley over Tamua, frankly.
But it doesn't seem like that's the pecking order at the moment.
No, Foley seems gone. Just the way it goes. But I do think ultimately those battles that I talked about at the first, like, both of these sides value the work that they do at the breakdown. Who wins those battles? I mean, who gets more plays off? The likes of Alan Wynne-Jones.
Is he stealing lineouts? Because the Aussies love an offensive maul.
They do.
If they can be disrupted at lineout time, though, there's no option for one.
It goes away. It goes away, and their lineout was a bit dodgy. If Wales can get on top there, likewise, can Wales hold on in the scrum the way the Wallabies will be trying to hold on in the lineouts, or will the Wallabies get on top of them there? Huge battles. And then I think just the carrying error around the fringes. I mean, we've seen the likes of Rodda, Coleman and Rory Arnold looking extremely physical and awesome against sides that they're better Argentina, Fiji the other week. They were great. Adam Coleman off the bench made a huge impact. And then we've seen them against the likes of Brodie Retallick and the likes of Eben Etzebeth, and they've looked like just off the level. And Wales's locks, you've got Alan Wynne-Jones and Jake Ball, very good form. Alan Wynne is probably the best all-round lock, but isn't quite as physical as those guys I mentioned.
Like, mind you, Ball had a very physical showing against Georgia. He was asked to do a lot of that work and stood up.
Well, there you go. And what is the answer to that question of how those Wallabies look at this level, which feels like kind of their level? Can they get some plays off? Can they get a bit of dominance around the fringes and provide quick ball? That's going to be a huge factor.
Sure.
And then likewise, I think that 13 battle was one to watch. Sometimes the games don't go that way then when I say it, but I think both sides will look to attack each other in that channel.
Yeah.
And who can get the plays off against each other could be massive.
Yeah.
And whether, like, if you get Jay Davis bumping off O'Connor,
Jay Davis versus O'Connor is box office in a million different
ways. It is.
They're two fine players, and it's just to see them go head to head with, like, this is a great game. It is. There are a few intangibles. Game. The fact, like, Wales got their first ever win against first win in around 10 years. First ever win against Aussie. Could you imagine? But first win in a significant chunk of time. It was around 10 years. Just last year, and it was a 9-6 ground out win in the Millennium Stadium.
Yeah, these games take such different pictures, don't
every
they?
Time they're different. Yeah. They're
well matched. It's
and
crazy.
At the same time, barring that one, which is a monkey off their back as far as Gatland and this Wales side is concerned, the Aussies have very many living memories of just beating Wales, and they'll be going into this with an attitude of we just beat Wales, which can sometimes serve them very well.
I don't know if they will. They'll definitely be like thinking about it. It's a tough game.
It's their toughest game of the thing, but they'll definitely be backing themselves to get it done.
Yeah.
They'll also be probably kind of thinking that they have a bit of a psychological edge over their history. I know Wales will probably be going like, oh yeah, we got that monkey off our back last time, and now we can go on. We should have beaten them the previous few times anyway, and that kind of stuff. Whereas the Aussies will have that flip side of going like, we always manage to get it done more often than
it could just be that it will come down to a play from somebody, more than likely, just who's going to make that play. But we mentioned it already, but it does deserve to be mentioned again, is that the difference between Australia of this whole cycle and that previous cycle and this Australia that's going to World Cup, the one biggest difference is that they are vulnerable from the high ball, where they never used to be. They used to be bulletproof because of Israel Folau, and now they are just very not. And that is, for the Northern Hemisphere sides, that's a real angle to go at them. And that could be decisive.
They're also just not quite in terms of depth of squad. They're not quite at the level they would have been at last World Cup, and even
but their first 15 is
their first 15 as always is a world class
and that's
team,
what they need,
capable of beating the best teams in the world. But it's behind that there's not as much quality as there has been in years gone by. That being said, I really love their style of play. I think it's conducive to World Cups. I think that the fact that they go to try and grab tries just serves them well. I mean, it's a less attritional way of going about your business, and they have an instinct for it. So, I love both of these teams, and you're right in saying what happens here does colour the rest. It sprinkles out and ripples out across the whole tournament.
Everybody will be watching.
Affects England's campaign. It affects France's campaign.
And even going forward, it affects the dynamic of a semi-final against, like, if England have to play Wales, that's just going to be, as always, the history of those teams is just going to be a brutally physical encounter, and I think would benefit the prospective semi-final opponent, which would be the All Blacks. I think the All Blacks might be thinking, give England Wales in that quarter-final and we'll beat the Remains.
Whoever limps out of there.
Indeed. And then from Ireland's perspective, if Wales don't end up playing in that game, if Wales end up topping their pool, Ireland, if they make it past their quarter-final, are set up to play Wales, which they hate. Big games against Wales are a nightmare for Ireland.
Especially having just won the biggest game of your history. If that's what's happened, then we're probably going to lose to Wales.
They would much rather play Ireland, genuinely, and don't get offended by this, Australians, it's a matchup thing. Ireland would genuinely much rather play Australia than Wales in a World Cup semi-final.
Probably true. Definitely
so all of that is affected by this game. I think it's going to have a massive impact on the tournament. And I don't know, can you call it? I can't call it.
Yeah, well, I called it prior in my preview, and I said Oz. I'm flipping. It's a flip of a coin thing. Like, both have many avenues to success. Both are superior to each other in certain aspects and inferior in others. The matchup is great. I'm going to stick with Australia as a prediction just on historical precedent alone, because I can't. I'm unsure. I'm pretty much. It's a toss of a coin in this one. I think if you play it 100 times, it's close to 50 wins each.
It's crazy.
Like, they're two awesome sides, and I expect awesome footy. And I expect Australia to win by about 6.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a narrow Australian win as well, with a crucial James O'Connor try.
Just a colour to go in with your. Yeah,
I don't know. I think I like the cut of his jib.
No, I definitely do. Yeah, he's matured into a wonderful player and plays lovely.
He's just had some Baud-esque touches.
He does. His offloading game is great, and it's what Australia need. They need distributors in the back line and wide distributors, which is what he's providing.
So there you go.
Yeah,
but that's
it's going to apologies to our Welsh subs who are. I was
it could go either way. It could go either way.
We could have egg on our face when Wales blow Australia away.
I expect and hope for the Welsh fans to be coming into this video post glorious Wallaby victory.
Yeah, if you're watching this after beating the Wallabies, you can feel free to leave your comment below to rub our noses in it. But in the meantime, I'll say Oz.
And in the meantime, we'll say Oz.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching that video. If you want to catch the rest of our Overlap Rugby podcast World Cup content, please subscribe down below and comment as well. We love to hear the chat in the comments, and ring that bell so you get notified for all our new videos. Thanks.